Hey y'all. So I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about where we are right now. So we are currently in this era of forgiveness and reconciliation. First things first, forgiving yourself, right? For allowing certain things to happen, allowing people to handle you any kind of way, people to talk to you any kind of way. Anytime that you ever felt a little bit of anxiety, right? After dealing with somebody after a certain situation, typically it's because you did not stand up for yourself. That's typically where anxiety stems from. At least that's what I've noticed. So, forgiving yourself for allowing people and allowing these things that have happened to you to happen, right? Because you didn't know what you didn't know at the time. You didn't know how to handle those situations or those people. You didn't know how, you know, to maneuver through that, especially if it caught you off guard. So forgiving yourself for letting those things happen and letting those people do and say whatever they did and say to you. The other part of forgiveness is forgiving those people and forgiving those situations. Yes, not just forgiving the person, but the situation also. Because you can still harbor energy towards a situation, not necessarily just towards the person. Like you could be like, oh, I forgave that person already, it don't bother me. The situation, though, is what you have to forgive. You have to allow yourself to let that go. And when I say let it go, I don't mean like pretend like it never happened, but to release the energy attachment to it. Now, in terms of forgiveness, forgiveness does not always lead to reconciliation. If that person is meant to be in your life, they're going to end up back in your life. That is not something that you have to necessarily force to happen, like, oh, I forgave you, so we're supposed to make up and keep it moving and keep being cool. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's just letting go and releasing and forgiving so that way you can move on and clear that path for, the right people to come into your life. Sometimes forgiveness is leading to reconciliation. And sometimes in that reconciliation, you do have to work at it. It is not a situation of, okay, we forgave and we're back in each other's life. We're going to pick up where we left off. No, you have to work at the relationship, right? On rebuilding a foundation for this new relationship, because it's not going to be the same. And you shouldn't want it to be the same, because that would mean allowing the same things that happened before to happen again. So that's my tidbit on the forgiveness and reconciliation part. Now, the reason why these two things are very important right now for us to focus on is because, one, it grants you freedom. It grants you freedom, and it grants you permission to live authentically. You cannot say that you're living authentically if you are still harboring resentment and you're still harboring anger, frustration, all these different emotions and energies towards people and situations, right? You have to you have to let those things go in order to live freely and to live authentically. The reason why it prevents you from living authentically is because think of it as an onion, right? At the core, that's who you are authentically. That's your true self, right? The layers of that onion, that is the false personality that you have created to protect yourself. So, through this forgiveness and through this reconciliation and through this forgiving yourself, right, you start to peel back those layers. You start to heal from those traumas and from those triggers and from that karma, right? You start to heal from all of that. And so slowly but surely those layers start to peel off, bringing you back to your center, bringing you back to who you are at the core, right? That sweet, kind person, or maybe not just sweet and kind. Like, I mean, hell, I realize that I'm not really all that sweet and kind like I thought I was. And it's not to say I walk around with an attitude or anything, or like I'm angry at the world, I don't like anyone. But at the core of who I am, I've come to the realization that I'm going to say things that might set you back. Like, did this bitch really just say that? And I've learned to be okay with that. Um, Yeah, and for a lot of people around me, they have had difficulty with navigating that because they're like, I can't believe you just handled me like that, or I can't believe you just said that. But the truth of the matter is, guess what? I do it to everybody. And I'm not using that as an excuse, but at the core, I am the type of person like I treat people the way I treat myself, right? If I'm no nonsense with myself, right? If I'm lighthearted with myself, and at the same time I'm no nonsense with myself, why would I give somebody else the opposite treatment? That makes no sense. I'm not going to give you the opposite treatment of what I give myself. Anywho, so yes, so peeling back those layers to get back to the core of who you are through forgiveness, forgiving yourself, forgiving those people, forgiving those situations, and also being open to reconciliation if it is God's will, if it is meant for that person to be in your life. How do you know if it's meant to happen? It'll just happen. It's not something that you necessarily have to work super hard at, but use discernment, right? For example, if you're dating somebody and y'all have a hard lunch, right? Y'all are in a relationship, like this is a thing, like y'all are leading to marriage even, and you find out that that person is cheating on you. Use your discernment. Forgive him or her for cheating. Forgive him or her for forgive yourself for, being naive or whatever may have you. I just say naive as an example. Or whatever emotions you may feel. Forgive yourself for, for allowing yourself to be in this situation and, missing the red flags of that. Forgive that person for what they did, because what they did, they didn't do it to you. They did it to themselves. Let me clarify that too. But then also, it's on you if you want to reconcile with that person. Maybe that person was never meant for you to be in a hardcore relationship with. Maybe y'all were only meant to be friends. Maybe God's will was only for y'all to be in each other's lives as friends. You chose to take it another step and be together, right? So really, like, the forgiveness just kind of sets you back to where you were supposed to be, which is bringing you back to your core. You can choose to either have that person in your life as a friend, or you could choose, I don't want that person in my life at all, right? We all have free will to do what we want, but if that person is meant to be in your life, if they play a supporting role in your life, and I don't mean support like physical support, I'm talking on a spiritual level, right? They are going to be in your life regardless. You don't have to force that. Now, that does not mean, now as a human, right, as a spirit living a human experience, you do have to work at the forgiveness and the releasing and the moving forward with that person, because memories don't fade. You're gonna always have that in your, like, sometimes you might just look at them and be like, motherfucker, you cheated on me. Or motherfucker, you hit me. Like, you just never, like, as a human, you're gonna always experience those moments, but you have to be able to check yourself and understand that there's a bigger picture. So yeah, so that's my little tidbit for today.